And now for the Ask Lee slot. Alright, so as you may know, if you don't, if you have a question which you would like me to answer on this video, or this video slot on a Wednesday, then just ask in the comments below to one of the Ask Lee videos. If you ask on another one, then I'm not going to answer. If you are listening on the podcast and you'd like to ask me, you can leave a comment in the podcast. Just state that you want it to be answered live or on video or audio or whatever we're talking about. Because on the podcast I do combine both Monday and Wednesday's videos into an audio, so there's no distinction between the two. Alright, so let's get into today's two questions. This first one is from Occultista Machiej. Tell me if I'm saying that right or not. Some of the Daemonolators consider themselves as equal as regular or typical Satanists. Does that mean that Daemonolator who chooses to work with Kabbalistic spirits like Raziel or Metatron is considered to be a defiler, heathen, blasphemer? I don't actually think we can answer this question, to be completely honest with you, for various reasons. Firstly, when we talk about Satanists, we have a variety of different types of Satanists. We have our atheistic Satanists, which are very much our LaVeyan Satanists, and you'll find that the LaVeyan Satanists will consider anybody else to not be Satanists. Just point blank, they just don't like it. They don't want anybody else to be Satanists, just them. It's a bit silly if you ask me, but you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion, I suppose. So we have our LaVeyan Satanists who are atheistic. Then we have our theistic Satanists who actually believe that Satan is an actual being, an entity. And these are the people that the LaVeyan Satanists say are not Satanists. I don't know why. If they want to call themselves Satanists because they believe in a being that's called Satan, you know, for me, just let them. You know, amongst those two crowds, you've got a variety of different aspects. Some people will be exclusively Satan. Others will be more pantheistic or even polytheistic. Demonolatry is very often considered to be soft polytheism. So you've got all these different, you know, one person is going to worship Satan and there are no other gods and goddesses. Another person is going to worship Satan as a primary being, a primary entity, and work with other spirits. Somebody else will not work with Satan as their primary being, but they may work with Satan as part of their own personal pantheon. So the difficulty here comes in that so you asked, some of the Daemonolators consider themselves as equal as regular or typical Satanists. You know, what is a Satanist to begin with? What is a Daemonolator to begin with? You've got traditional or traditional demonolatry, modern demonolatry. A lot of demonolators, or people who are calling them demonolators, are just people following the left-hand path. They don't follow exclusively a path which may have been, I think we could probably say, we'll consider it to be based on the Dukhant hierarchy and the Dukhant teachings. It's based in something else. So, you know, this is where the problem comes in. We're using terms, titles and things like that, which can mean so many things. So, whereas one person may say that you cannot work with an angel, another person will say you can, and they both call themselves Daemonolators. Why? Because the person who says you cannot work with angels is probably still kind of ingrained in a Christian worldview. They consider angels to be this aspect of Christianity when it's not. Angels were around long before Christianity was even conceived. But they still have that hatred, that anger, that annoyance, that tie into that bond into the Christian worldview, and therefore they have a hatred for it. Whereas the person who says you can work with angels considers demon, the actual word demon, D-A-E-M-O-N, or maybe we should pronounce it daemon, to be, had to have its actual roots in meaning a being which is a divine intelligence. When we're talking about a divine intelligence, that's many, many things. That includes angels. So working a Kabbalistic system, I mean, you'll find in demonolatry, and I'm not going to really say left-hand path, which gets a bit more broader. You'll find the Kabbalistic teachings and the tree of life and things like that. You'll find it part of those systems. We have got I don't really want to talk about the tree of death, the Clipothic tree, because it's not something I follow and not something I believe is even relevant. And you're probably going to get 80% of left-hand pathers who are going to swear at me right now and say, what are you talking about? It's such an important part. It's a new concept. And I'm not saying just because it's new, it's irrelevant. It's just, I think it's irrelevant because the tree of life, the Kabbalistic tree of life, the Etz Chaim, envelops the entirety of the cosmos. So to now all of a sudden create this tree, which is the tree of death, because this is the tree of life, just makes it edgy. That's all it's doing, really. It's just making it edgy. And, it's already part of the Etz Chaim. It's not separate from it. You cannot separate the two. So that's just my personal opinion. I think it's irrelevant. I think it's ridiculous. But a lot of people are going to disagree with me. That's fine. I'll probably get some hate mail for this one. All right. So, I'm not sure if that answers the question or not. It's a bit convoluted. But, as I said, would we consider them to be defiled as heathen blasphemers? I don't mind being considered a heathen personally, defiler and blasphemer. People on this left-hand path are antinomians. I'm going to say something which is probably going to get me even more hate mail. Jesus Christ was an antinomian. He was a left-hand path magician. So, he went against the grain. He went against society. So, I'm a bit strange, I know. Alright, so as I said, I don't know if that answers the question, whether you're just sitting there swearing at me or laughing at me, but let's go on to the next one. Fata Squirrel again, I love that name. What does it mean that the spirits we're meant to work with are always with us? Since we're born or before incarnation, are they in the foreground just waiting for us to contact them? Are they constantly watching us? This is going to depend a lot on your worldview. So I'm going to speak from a personal perspective. And as I said, this is purely personal, my own experiences. And that might change in 10 years' time, who knows? I personally believe that all of these entities, the gods and the goddesses and the demons, we're bonded to them and they're bonded to us in some way or form energetically. This could become an extremely convoluted conversation as well, because depending on how you view the cycle of death and rebirth, physical death and rebirth into a new physical form, how you consider that to progress is also going to play a key part in this, but let's try and keep it as simply as possible. So all of these entities we are bound to, they are part of us. We see them as separate beings because that's how we find it easier to interact with, and easier to communicate with, easier to talk about, really. So we kind of externalize them, and we create these entities, and they are entities which are independent from us, but we are all one. Therefore, they are part of us. And these particular, I believe, there are particular entities which are more personally connected to us and bound to us, and they're always there. They always have been. They always will be. And as we progress through our incarnations, if we get thrown back into the cosmic soup, we get pulled out. We don't get pulled out as our pure original self. It's a combination of a few people that we get pulled out of and put into a new incarnation. So as we progress, we pick up more of these bonds. And but there are some consistencies, I think, personally, and there are consistencies through these different lifetimes. So anyway, so we've always got these entities which are close to us, which we are bound to, which we are bonded to, and we then become aware of them. As we start to become more spiritually aware, we become more aware of these bonds that we have with these entities. And these entities, we may call them gods and goddesses, we may call them demons, we may call them fae, we may call them land spirits, we can call them all ancestors. So these are ancestral bonds. Again, depending on your worldview, what you believe in. So, they're always there. And, we can talk about the holy guardian angel, or the personal demon, or the crown, the drake and the crown, the nefesh and the neshama, the lower self and the higher self, the shadow and the light body, whatever we're going to call it. This holy guardian angel, this higher self, that's always there. That is us, but it's also considered to be separate from us. It's not part of our soul, but at the same time, these are the paradoxes which we are faced with. So that's always there as well, because that's our driving. That leads us, or shows us our true will, and it doesn't really give a shit if we are following our true will or not. It will just sit there and go, okay, well, I'll wait. When you become aware of me, then I'll start telling you what your true will is. If you want to ignore that, it's fine. I'll wait again. Couldn't really give a shit, but it's there. And it's through our own processes that we become aware of these entities. I was listening to an old podcast from Peter Padden, the Crooked Path, this morning, and it was a round table with a variety of different witches, and one of them was Robin Artisan, and he was actually saying that we consider initiation to be a beginning, almost like a new beginning to a new stage in our spiritual life, or if it's a rite of passage, our mundane life even. But these initiations are considered to be new beginnings, and we're talking about white thread or silver thread initiations here, initiations from spirit itself. And Robin was actually saying that there is no beginning. There is no beginning and there is no end. It's always there. It's always constant. What happens is we become aware of these things, and it's the same thing here. We become aware of these spirits. We become aware of these entities that are with us, guiding us, pushing us in particular directions so that we can get to where we need to go to. Quite often we don't know it's happening. As we progress more and more, we become more aware of these entities, and we become more aware of these little nudges here and there and you know, that's me, and that's my personal belief anyway. Take away from it what you wish. If you think it's a load of bunk, that's fine, but you know, maybe I'll speak to somebody and will help them to develop their own personal views. Anyway, alright, so again, hopefully that answers that question as well. Alright, so as I said, if you've got any questions you'd like me to answer, please ask them in the comments below. I think I'm running out, so I would appreciate some more questions. And I'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Cheers for that. Bye bye.